Welcome to Dark and Haunting Tales, our aficionados. In this video, we present Unsettling Home Alone Experiences. Prepare to be on the edge of your seat as we delve into real-life accounts of hair-raising home alone situations that will make your skin crawl. If you are new to the channel, welcome. And if you like this video, subscribing will be priceless. And for all of you subscribed, thank you for the support. Beware, these stories aren't for the faint of heart. The stories may contain some acts or events that may be disturbing for some viewers. Be advised. As always, are you ready to be terrified? Then let's begin. I'm Christine, and I'm going to tell you about a night I'll never forget. My parents were out of town, and I was home alone, which wasn't unusual for a teenager like me. I'd spend the evening watching movies and texting friends, and as the night grew late, I finally decided to head to bed. As I lay in my darkened bedroom, I could hear the distant hum of the suburban neighborhood outside. All was quiet, or so it seemed. But then, as I was about to drift off to sleep, I heard it. A faint whispering sound coming from downstairs. My heart immediately started to race. I strained to listen more carefully, hoping it was just my imagination playing tricks on me. But the whispers persisted, and it was clear they were coming from inside my house. My blood ran cold, and fear washed over me as I realized that I wasn't alone. I couldn't make out the words, but the hushed voices were unmistakably those of two men. Panic and dread gripped me as I clutched the blanket tightly. My mind raced with questions. Who were these men, and how had they entered my home? I knew I had to call the police, but my phone was on the nightstand, and I didn't want to make a sound that would give away my presence. I slowly, carefully, and as silently as possible, reached for my phone, my fingers trembling with fear. With my phone in hand, I dialed 911 and placed it to my ear, praying that the operator wouldn't make a sound. My breathing was shallow, my heart pounding so loudly that I was certain the intruders could hear it. As I whispered my address and the situation to the 911 operator, she assured me that help was on the way and instructed me to stay on the line with her. I stayed as still as a statue, every sense heightened, listening to the movements of the men downstairs. Suddenly, I heard their footsteps on the creaking stairs, and the panic intensified. I felt trapped, vulnerable in my own home. I pressed my body further into the bed, hiding under the covers, as if they could protect me from the impending danger. The men's voices grew louder as they ascended the stairs, and I could make out their conversation now. They were discussing their intentions, their voices a mix of sinister determination and cruelty. I tried to stay as quiet as possible, my phone clutched tightly to my ear. Finally, the police arrived, their sirens piercing through the night. The intruders heard it too, and their voices turned to panic. They rushed back downstairs, and I could hear the sound of the police officers shouting orders and scuffling with the intruders. Relief washed over me as I heard the men being apprehended. The police secured the area, ensuring that the intruders posed no further threat. I was finally safe. As the police questioned me and took statements, they revealed that the men had broken into my home with malicious intent. I shuddered to think about what might have happened if I hadn't called for help when I did. That night, the quiet suburban neighborhood was shaken by the realization that danger could lurk, even within the walls of your own home. I will never forget those whispers or the fear they brought, but I am grateful that the timely arrival of the police ensured my safety. My name is Ryan, and I want to share with you a night I'll never forget. It was like any other evening, and I was home alone. I had settled into my bed, scrolling through my phone, when something caught my eye out of the bedroom window. The curtains were partially drawn, and I froze as I saw a hooded man standing outside, staring directly at me. My heart thundered in my chest as I tried to process the horrifying sight. My mind raced, and I had to do something to ensure my safety. My phone was on the nightstand next to me, and I knew I needed to call for help. I reached for it slowly, trying not to draw the intruder's attention. As I fumbled for my phone, my hands trembling with fear, I accidentally knocked over a glass on the nightstand. The shattering sound echoed through the room, and I knew the hooded man had heard it. His gaze intensified, and he took a step closer to the window, his eyes locked onto mine. My fingers finally found the phone, and I dialed 911 as fast as I could. The dispatcher answered, and I whispered my address, and that there was an intruder outside my window. The operator assured me that the police were on their way, but every second felt like an eternity. I could see the man's features more clearly now. His eyes were hollow, and his expression was a mixture of malevolence and madness. Terrified, I stayed on the line with the dispatcher, who tried to keep me calm, asking me to describe the intruder and any potential weapons he might have. I couldn't see any weapons, but I had no doubt he intended to harm me. The dispatcher urged me to stay on the line, and I could hear the sirens approaching in the distance. The sound of the police grew louder, and it seemed to startle the man outside. His expression twisted into one of rage, and he took a step back from the window. Finally, I heard the sound of boots running toward the house. The police officers arrived just in the nick of time. They apprehended the hooded man, who struggled and fought against them. I watched from my window as the police officers took the man into custody, his sinister presence fading into the darkness of the night. Relief washed over me, and I finally hung up with the 911 dispatcher. The police questioned me about the encounter and the events leading up to it. They assured me they would conduct a thorough investigation to determine the man's intentions and if there were any more potential threats. That night, I couldn't sleep. The fear and adrenaline still coursed through my veins, and the image of the hooded man's eyes staring at me haunted my thoughts. I couldn't help but wonder what would have happened if I hadn't reached my phone in time, or if the police hadn't arrived when they did. It was a terrifying experience that left me with a newfound appreciation for the value of a quick thinking and emergency services. It was a stark reminder of the vulnerabilities of being home alone, especially when danger lurks just outside your window. I'm Josh, and I'm here to share with you the spine-chilling story of the night I'll never forget. It was just like any other night when my parents were out of town. I was home alone. I'd spend the evening watching TV and playing video games. But as the night grew darker, things took an unsettling turn. It all started with strange noises coming from the attic. At first, I thought it was just the typical sounds old houses make: creaking, groaning, and the occasional thump. But these noises were different. They were irregular, like something moving around up there. As I sat on the living room couch, the sounds grew more distinct. It was as if someone or something was up in the attic, shuffling around and making odd, muffled sounds. My heart began to race, and the sense of unease settled over me. I tried to brush it off as my imagination, but the noises persisted. Curiosity and a touch of fear got the best of me, and I decided to investigate. I grabbed my flashlight from the kitchen and made my way to the attic door, which was located in the hallway just outside my bedroom. As I slowly pulled down the attic stairs, the strange noises continued. They seemed to echo through the narrow, dimly lit space above. The attic was filled with old boxes, discarded furniture, and dusty memories of the past. My flashlight beam swept across the space as I cautiously climbed the stairs. I reached the top and cautiously stepped into the attic. That's when I saw it. A grotesque sight that sent shivers down my spine. There, huddled in the far corner of the attic, was a nightmarish figure, partially obscured by the shadows. It was a man, or at least it resembled one. His clothes were tattered, and his hair was long and matted. But what was most horrifying was his face. It was contorted, twisted into a grotesque mask of rage and anguish. His eyes were bloodshot and wild, and his teeth were bared in a sinister grin. In one hand, he clutched a rusty, blood-stained knife. Panic surged through me as I stumbled backward, my heart pounding in my chest. My first instinct was to get away from this menacing intruder. But as I turned to make my retreat down the attic stairs, making as little noise as possible, an inhumane growl echoed through the attic, sending shivers down my spine. I had never heard anything like it in my life. The man lunged at me, and in sheer terror, I slammed the attic hatch shut, just narrowly escaping his grasp. I knew I had to call the police, but my phone was downstairs. I darted into my room and locked the door, praying that the attic's thin ceiling would hold against whatever madness had taken hold of that man. With my phone in hand, I dialed 911 and explained the situation in frantic, trembling words. The operator assured me that help was on the way and instructed me to stay on the line. As I hid in my room, my fear grew. The noises from the attic became more disturbing, the man's deranged laughter echoing through the house. I couldn't fathom what had driven him to hide in my attic, or what he might do next. The police arrived quickly, their sirens announcing their arrival. I could hear them entering the house, shouting orders, and moments later, he was apprehended, and the police assured me that I was safe. I told them what I had seen in the attic, but I couldn't find any explanation for his presence. It was a terrifying and surreal encounter. That night, my parents returned, and I shared the traumatic events that had unfolded in their absence. We decided to move out of that house, haunted by the horrifying memory of the twisted man who had hidden in the attic. This night taught me that sometimes real-life horrors can be more terrifying than anything we encounter in the realm of fiction. I was left with a haunting image of the man's contorted face, a chilling reminder that darkness can lurk in the most unexpected of places. Thank you, horror aficionados, for watching our video. So next time you find yourself home alone, remember these tales of the unexplained. Thank you for all of you subscribers for the support and making it to the end of the video. And for everyone new, welcome. And if you like this video, join our community of growing horror aficionados by liking, turning on post notification, and subscribing for more content like this. Stay safe and sleep tight if you can.